I'm going to demonstrate how to make a qualitative XT and VT graph from the spark timer strip. Of course, if you want to make a quantitative one, then you would just know that each mark is the position at the moment in time that it burned through the tape, and so that they're positions at different times. And what you would do is make a data table with a position and time, put the 0 where it began, and you would see the first mark is at 1 millimeter, the second mark is at 5 millimeters, the third mark is at, looks like 13 millimeters, and so on. But we're not going to do that. What we wanted to find out was if it was going a constant velocity after I pushed it. So that means I need to get rid of the piece while I was pushing it. So here's where it started, the big black mark, and I'm going to tear off at 5 centimeters. That's where I stopped pushing it. So right there, make a little tear. And so this is when I started pushing it. We can take a look at this. It starts off real small, and the short distances between means it's going slow, and then it's going faster here, right? So we'll put that aside. We want to know if it's going to constant velocity after that. So you can take a look at all the marks. They look pretty even distances between them, so it looks maybe it's going to constant velocity. So first thing I want to do is make the XT graph. So this is an X. The time axis is always the independent variable. And I want to make on this other side my VT graph. Time is the independent variable. Okay. First thing I do is I want to start at my starting position. So this is my starting position right here where I tore off. I'm going to mark that. The time equals 0. And that's where I begin. And so at the end, mine's a little too long for the paper, so I'm just going to truncate it a little bit here. At the last time, my position was way up here, and I'm going to mark that. So you can see how far it was from 0 by the end. So it was way up there. And I'm going to tear off the top section right at the snake bite mark. And that little bit is how far it went in a certain amount of time, which time, or distance divided by time, is velocity. So I'm going to use my glue stick here, and that was the velocity at the last moment in time. So at the last moment in time, I'm going to stick that as on my velocity versus time graph. So there's my time equals 0 again. Now I have a shorter length, so I'm going to move over. I measured it first here. Now it's shorter because I just tore off the last little bit. So I move it over a little bit towards time equals 0 because I'm tearing it off, getting closer and closer to time equals 0. I make the next mark and tear off the last piece. So I'm not tearing it off down here. I'll leave that. Tearing off the second to last moment in time. Use my glue stick to show how far it went, the second to last moment in time. So there's the last moment in time. The second to last moment in time will be right here. So I stick it right there. And come back over here. Now put the time equals 0 at the bottom. That's my initial position. And I write where it was at the third to last moment in time. And keep on going. Tear off the next piece. Glue stick. Put it onto the third to last moment in time on my velocity versus time graph. Alright, are you seeing a trend here? Catch me back later when it's done.